biggest thing for me was I've always been kind of heavy on cold calling. To reach out to Fidel was really just, trying to diversify where I was getting my leads from.
I guess can you tell us a little bit about like, your deal volume, what's your goal, like where you're trying to get to?
Right now we're about from 40 to 60K depending on the months, and we kind of want to double that, utilizing the inbound.
That it's just gonna keep on getting better, and I think we found the winning formula.
And then once we kind of tweak that strategy, I've seen the cost per lead go down and the conversation quality has gotten better and better.
Once we learn the skill, like it's just gonna pay off, and the return is just gonna be infinite because you keep on making the money and you already know how to do it.
Like I wouldn't want to pay an agency to run my ads because I know how to run them now.
Would you recommend our program to someone else?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend your program, bro.
What's up, guys? I got my guy Rav here. I've known him for probably like a year. Rav, do you want to give a background on yourself? How long you been doing this? Your markets, kind of like all that with your team?
Awesome. Well, appreciate Fidel for having me on. My name is Rob. So I've been, working with Fidel in the inbound specifically for like a couple months now, but I've known him for almost a year. Like he said, I've been in the wholesaling space for about 2 years now, going on 2.5. Predominantly started in the Virginia market. That's where I'm from. Since then, we've kind of branched out into Florida, like Central Florida, along with Virginia. And then we are also doing some stuff in North Carolina, and then adding, a couple of different metros and stuff too, as we kind of get this inbound ramped up. But yeah, biggest thing for me was I've always been kind of heavy on cold calling. Still am pretty heavy on cold calling, but what kind of prompted me to reach out to Fidel was really just, trying to diversify where I was getting my leads from. And ultimately, right, like trying to get the most qualified people on the phone for myself and my closers to close. So that's kind of what, made me reach out to Fidel. And, since then he's kind of been coaching me up, him and everybody else in the group. Chris, Paulo, they've been super helpful. So that's kind of where we're at. But yeah, right now we're doing cold calling, and we're scaling our inbound out as well.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit about like your team size, your role in it, kind of what that looks like?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have two full-time lead managers. So what their job is all day is, qualifying leads as they come through, setting appointments for my closers. Right now, we have three full-time closers, including myself. Their job again is to go on those set appointments, lock up deals, and ultimately, making sure that we're getting stuff for a right price, which is, what made me want to kind of start scaling out inbound, just because, there's more closers to feed and more opportunity for us to get deals done. And then we just onboarded a dispo manager about 2 weeks ago. So we're slowly ramping him up, building out that dispo process. Because prior to, we were like super heavy on MLS for dispo, and now we're trying to focus on bringing that in house along with utilizing the MLS when we need to. So that's kind of what his responsibility is. And then my day to day is really just, I'm still closing as well. That's kind of like my bread and butter. I don't think I'll ever like fully relinquish that role. So I'm always trying to get at least one contract myself a week. And then obviously, day to day consists of like just managing all those people, making sure that everybody's hitting their KPIs, and then ultimately like helping stuff get across the finish line. So if there's, anything that my salespeople need for me on an appointment, making sure I'm doing that. Still underwriting deals for all of them as well, just because I want to make sure that they could kind of just focus on the sales process. So day to day, is closing, managing people management, and then ultimately just making sure that the machine is running, and managing these ads and making sure that they're working as well.
For sure. Yeah, I think that this hire is huge because in
Hmm.
wholesaling, we arbitrage two separate like deals, right? So
Right.
everyone else, whenever we contract the property in any other service business, that's when everyone gets paid. Like let's say you were doing like a roof or you're doing some sort of like coaching service, whatever,
Right.
that's when everyone gets paid. But in wholesaling, we get the A to B when we sign the contract, but then we need to do the B2C, which is like selling it. And that can be one
Right.
of the biggest bottlenecks because you don't have direct control over the fulfillment because there are always like other parties involved, like buyers, agents, inspectors,
Hmm.
lenders, title company, appraisers, kind of like all that stuff, right? So the more that we can fine tune and align the dispo process that's gonna help with our cash conversion cycle. So you know that I'm
Exactly.
huge on inbound and simplifying the business where okay, we put out like inbound ads, we get a lead, they already told us that they want to sell to us. So our job is, you know, contract it and sell that property as quick as possible because at the end of the
Right.
day, wholesaling is about making the money, you know, as quick as we can, and then just keep on reinvesting so that we can keep on growing. So that's huge. So congrats on that. And I guess can you
Absolutely.
tell us a little bit about like, you know, your deal volume, what's your goal, like where you're trying to get to, where you're at right
Right.
now, and what do you see like working and where you want to get to?
Absolutely. So just off the cold calling operation, we're about doing 2 to 3 deals a month already off of that. And then adding the inbound, I want to slowly get to where we're doing an extra 2 to 3 deals a month with that. And ultimately want to just get to being consistently about 5 to 8 deals a month. I want to be consistently in that 6 figure range in terms of like, revenue coming in. Right now we're about from 40 to 60K depending on the months, and we kind of want to double that, utilizing the inbound. I don't really want to aggressively scale out the cold call operation just because it's a lot of moving parts and it gets, it's
Yep.
just a lot to manage, which is why I'm like, okay, that's in a good spot. It's producing consistently. Now let's try to scale this inbound out. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're consistently around that three deal mark. Ultimately want to get that and double that as much as possible for sure.
Yeah. And just being like honest with when I first started working with Rob, his cost per lead was higher than what I like to
Yeah.
be with like all my clients. So there's some clients that we get and we get it going from the get-go. So
Mhm.
with Rob, I mean, we kind of struggle a little bit. I think it's just like depending like on the market that it is, sometimes a little bit harder. But what
Mhm.
we did, and in order to solve that, was we took a look into okay, Rob, what are you getting most of your deals, and what's the main pain point that you're getting from the sellers with the properties that you contract? And then
Right.
we kind of built a plan on the ads to call out that specific pain point and that specific
Mhm.
avatar. And then we incorporated that into the ads, and then it started crushing. So, like,
Right.
sometimes it takes a while to get it going. But why I like Facebook is you can always get better and your results can always get better. So I think like for you, you got like your first deal when we first started working together. And then over the last, 2, 3 weeks, things has gotten progressively better.
Right.
And I think
Absolutely.
that it's just going to keep on getting better. And I think we
I
found
think
the
so
winning
too.
formula. So we just need
Yeah.
to keep on scaling it. And like if you look at the dollars spent in the beginning, it's not that they are wasted. We just needed them in order to get better. So when we get better, now that we've gotten better, um, it's like it all pays out, right? So we made
Exactly.
like the investments, we deposited the tryouts and stuff, and now we know
Right.
what works. So it's now just like
Absolutely.
expanding on that and keep crushing.
And that's what I'm looking
But
forward to too, as well, because like I know in the beginning, not to cut you off, I know the cost per lead was high. We were testing a lot of different angles. And the one thing that you said is like, hey, test as much like crap as you can, different angles, hooks until you find your winning formula. And then it wasn't until we kind of went back and looked at my pipeline, like, yo, what is like your all these deals, like where are most of them coming from? And then once we kind of tweaked that strategy, I've seen the cost per lead go down and the conversation quality has gotten better and better. So I'm definitely looking forward to the next like month and a half, 2 months to continue to see where we're at. Because we already got some good things in the pipeline and we already have our first deal closing after like, 2 months of 2.5 months of ad spend. We got one deal closing in next week. So I'm looking forward to just, keep compounding that and then ultimately growing our angles out for sure.
yep, for sure. And then with real estate, we all know that the cash conversion cycle and the sales cycle
Hmm.
is much longer than everything else, just because I mean that's the way that it's always been done for like months. Because
Right.
like they need to pull the title and get
Hmm.
the loan and all that stuff. So it takes a while. So I always tell people, hey, budget for at least like 3 months of nothing closing. But if
Right.
you keep on kind of having the spend and we get better, everything's going to keep on compounding. And if you are like
Absolutely.
15, 20K per deal, that's when the huge returns come in because as you start closing like everything at month 2, 3, 4, 5, you
Right.
get more money back, and then you can just keep on reinvesting on the things that are working in order to keep on scaling the marketing and having those good conversations, the good leads, and the good appointments, so that you can just keep on making more money. So
Mhm.
those were some of the things that we were struggling with, and that's how we like solved them. So I always encourage people kind of to look into, okay, where the majority of the deals coming from, and is there an angle or is there something else that we do in our company that's better than the competition? And once we find
Mhm.
that, we just need to shine a spotlight on it and go ham on that and keep on
Right.
getting more of those like same deals, because we do everything based on data, right? So if we already know that something works, we just keep doing more of it,
Mhm.
and squeeze it until we can, and then try different angles and all of that, right? So
Absolutely.
what would you say helped you the most when we first started working together?
I think the biggest thing that's helped me is just like the access to you and the rest of the team. Um, I'm like over like I'm not shy to ask for help. So I'm like texting you, I'm texting Paulo like almost every other day. And I think the biggest thing was also too was like having you guys kind of put it back on me in terms of like trying to find a solution, not just giving an answer, right? It's like,
Yeah,
hey, why do you think this isn't working? You already know the answer, but and then by asking me that and making me work through it, it's like makes me rationalize and really conceptualize what's going on, so I can actually understand what's going on with the ads. So I think the biggest thing is like just those two factors is one, like the access, and then two is kind of just like the way you guys, provide feedback and the way you guys kind of mentor is kind of what's been super helpful for me for sure. And
yeah.
then ultimately too, like helping me come up with a plan, and then like as the days and weeks go by, I'm like you like doing what you're telling me to, and then we're starting to see results come in.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
we're not doing our coaching kind of like done for you like an agency. Of course, we
Right.
have, when you first come in, we'll build everything and launch you and all that stuff. But then ultimately, the whole goal of our coaching is for you guys to learn the skill, because I see it over and over again, like with this other like agencies or these other people, they think of like wholesalers and investors as like not smart or like not tech savvy. And I'm like, hell no, like let's flip this on its head and be like, we can learn this, right? Because
Right.
once we learn the skill, like it's just gonna pay off, and the return is just gonna be infinite because you keep on, making the money and you already know how to do it. So for me, something that was huge is we were working together for a little while,
Yeah.
probably like a month and a half, and I know we gave you a lot of context, and that's when I thought, okay, let's look at this as like as a marketer. And of
Mhm.
course I knew the answer, but I wanted to pass that trade on to you and be like, okay, how would you solve it, and what do you think would be something that we can hear from your side? Because I wanted to test
Right.
your marketer brain and start coming up with the theories and the hypotheses on your own. That way we could solve for kind of like what we were trying to look for, right? And
Absolutely.
that is something that I like to do with like all the clients. That way they start getting the not just the context and the support and the help, but also
Mhm.
for them to be able to apply it into the business and into the marketing, so that we can see the results of the effort, right?
Absolutely.
So what do you think about like the recording of the ads? Because something
Oh
that's
my
huge for
god.
me is like
Yeah.
something that's huge for me is like, okay, I think the founder has to be on the ad. I mean, some people are shy,
Right.
and we have ways to work around that when we hire like some actors and stuff. But I think that no one's gonna care as much as the
More.
founder
Mhm.
will. So if you can be in front of the camera and have the energy and don't be afraid of like testing stuff. I know it's tedious and I know it's like can be a headache
Yeah.
sometimes, but like once of like applying it can work. So tell us your experience on like recording the
Yeah,
ads and all
so with
that.
me at first, like even still, like I was telling you yesterday when we was uploading my new ads, I was like, bro, I freaking hate, recording ads, but I've gotten accustomed to it. Like I think with me, the biggest shift for me was like after the first couple weeks, it was like, hey, you need to just record and test as many ads as possible versus I think a lot of people when they join, a program like this or they go with an agency, they're just like expecting like, hey, one or two ads and then boom, stuff is gonna start clicking. But as I've learned and what you kind of, preach from day one is like with Facebook, you have to test fast and test frequently. So now kind of what I do is like I try to set aside 1 day or 2 days out of the month, which is usually like on a weekend, where I'll just like record a crap ton of ads. Like and it's like super quick, right? Like it'll be like 5 or 6 different angles or 8 or 9 different hooks or something. And then that way I'm like good for the entire month of testing. And then once I find something, then I know I could just double down on that. So the biggest thing for me is just like just as soon as you get an idea, as soon as you see something that works, like just go ahead and try it, right? And that's another thing that you guys are really good about is like giving people brainstorming ideas like, hey, we see that this is working, maybe you should try it in your business, right? So, and it's just like taking that action and just getting, just getting it done. It doesn't really take that much time. Like I'm about to record maybe 3 or 4 more ads after this that I literally thought about yesterday, so it's just like just real quick on your phone, takes maybe 20
Yeah.
minutes tops to record an ad, and then you just send it off to get it edited.
Yeah. And I think something that's huge is like once you have that idea and then you can
Hmm.
materialize it and record it and have it edited, once you put it out there and you start seeing the leads come in and you're like, oh, okay, I thought of this
Yeah, I
and I
like
made
it.
the
Yeah,
ad, I put it out there, I got a lead, I got an appointment, I got a contract. That's when you're like, hell yeah, this is great,
yeah,
right?
it's cool
Because
because it
you're
kind of gives
learning
you a
the
chance.
skill.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to kind of be creative, whereas like in wholesaling, it's just very sales heavy, right? Like we're closers, we like getting deals done. But like I feel like this kind of gives you a chance to like kind of look, work on your creativity a little bit and like think like a marketer, which is cool.
Yeah, for sure. Um, can you kind of tell us about like what you have in the pipeline, like,
Yeah,
contracts? I know you got like a good deal
yeah,
there,
yeah,
so maybe I don't want to jinx it, but
yeah.
if we can just talk like
So
some ranges.
right. So we got one novation closing. We should be making about, I think, 13 or 15 on that one. That one we got under contract like a month and like 2 weeks ago, which was like literally like the after the first month we got that under contract. And we've gotten like 2 or 3 other contracts that, we've kind of just had to release just because we're still, getting our ads together and getting our areas together. So they're kind of outside of our buy box and stuff. And then we recently just locked up a deal that knock on wood should be a 6-figure deal if it gets to close. So we're working through that right now, making sure we could get that done. But that was off of our new ads that we started running a couple of days ago. So now it's kind of like, okay, we know the angle that's working. Now I'm just kind of doubling down on that and like just build and then slowly testing with a smaller budget on newer stuff.
Yeah, that's huge. And then one thing
Yeah.
with you is like we're not spending like so much money. I think we're like at
Yeah.
2,500, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I think
Um,
we're around like 3 grand. Sometimes we go up to like 3,500, just depending on if we're going to test a little bit more. But it's really not that much money, and our cost per appointment and cost per contract is relatively low, which is why I don't have a problem with doing that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So my goal with as long as we're like below like 2 grand cost per like
Hmm.
deal, I'm really happy with that because like everyone on average is making, with once you implement innovations and stuff, you can get
Yeah.
that average profit per deal like 17, 18, 19, 20
Hmm.
per deal. And then if you're spending two to get it, it's just like a matter of time before you can start
It's a
spending
crazy
more so that
ROAS. Yeah.
you can keep on getting more money back. And like one of the things that I see in wholesaling is like most people are okay, like, getting 3 to 4x, at a bigger like budget.
Hmm.
But I just think like we work way too hard to not make more. So how can we get better? Is like, okay, is there anyone we can do in our process to increase the LTV? In our case, the average profit per deal? Yes. We can implement innovations, negotiate deeper, find the motivation, solve it for the sellers, right? So that's what we can do on the acquisition side. So in marketing, there's two things that matter, right? The CAC, which is cost of acquisition or cost per deal,
Hmm.
and then the other one is the LTV or the average profit per deal, right? So that's how we increase the
Right.
LTV, and we're like, okay, how can we decrease the CAC, the cost per
Hmm.
deal? And that
Right.
comes with like better marketing, better hooks, better creatives, differentiating yourself from the other wholesalers in the area,
Hmm.
adding a unique value to the market on how you do things. You can spotlight the fact that you are local. You can use like testimonials. I know we have a testimonial ad that's crushing. Um,
Right.
and different things like that that are going to give us an edge. So things like that is what we could do in order to decrease that CAC. So the lower that it is, and the higher that the LTV is, the better our margin, and the better we
Right.
are at doing the same thing that everyone else. So I always tell people, okay, what's the goal, and what do we need to solve in order to get there? Because at the end
Right.
of the day, it's all about the business that we want to build. And for example, for you, I mean, I don't think with any of the clients, like what I preach is not like getting like a ton of deals, but getting deals for cheap and making a lot per deal.
Right. Exactly.
Because there's like so many moving parts, and at the end, it's like, okay, it's all about like how much money we make and simplifying the
Hmm.
business where it's like nice and uniform in order to just keep on crushing, right?
Right.
But when it comes to, I guess, to the coaching and the support with the team and Paul and Chris, what is the thing that you like the most? How's our response time? How's the resources? How's the communication? Can you tell us a little bit
I think,
about
bro,
that?
yeah, I think when it comes to you guys do a hell of a job just being available, right? Like it's literally I could text you, I could message Paulo or Chris whenever, right? Like literally I FaceTimed you yesterday at like 7:30 and I was like, "Yo, what do you think about this?" So, I think the availability is amazing. And then also too just the weekly calls that we have, right? Obviously everybody brings questions to there, but then also on top of that, what I think you guys do a really good job of, and I know Paulo does a great job of this, is whenever you guys have some type of feedback or you make any changes, I always like, appreciate that you guys send me a video like, hey, this is what we're seeing. We made these changes. Let me know if that makes sense or if you're good with it or if you think we should do something else. So it's kind of like not like a done for you service because you're still learning, but at the same time, it's like there's like guardrails, right? It's kind of like bowling with like guardrails on, right? It's
Yep.
like you're still bowling, but you got, you're not gonna get a gutter because it kind of has like you have like a fence on both sides, which I think is great. So I would say you guys are awesome with the communication. And even like when people that are in the program ask me questions, I'm like, bro, you got to just literally overly ask questions and that like you'll be able to get the answers that you need.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, when they come into a situation like this and they're expecting like a done for you service, they're not going to get what they want to get out of it. So
Yep.
I would think that was like the biggest thing for me. And once I had that mindset shift, it's been great because like now I'm like actually learning. I'm starting to get confident in Facebook and like running ads myself. And I kind of know what to look for, what not to look for. And if I don't have the answer, I'm always going to ask questions.
Yeah, and I think that's huge because a lot of people get in, but we can only help you when you respond, right? So we always
Right.
try to reach out to like everyone individually, like, hey, how you doing? We see X, Y, and Z. Give us some feedback because if they don't give us any feedback, we're like, I mean, and we try to reach out. It's like, okay, so you get what you put in, and I
Mhm.
think something that I see from you is like you're not willing. I'm sorry, you're not shy to ask for help and actually be there and like show up and actually get better. And I think like that's one of the main differences between the people who succeed and the people who don't. I mean, we can still help people like if they come in, but like let's say like some clients are like, hey, the cost per lead is increasing, we need more creatives from your side, because if we put our creatives, I mean we can like drop it, but I just think like local like founder level ads perform a little bit better, because
Right.
if they can see you in front of a house that looks like their house with people that look like them and you look like them, I mean you're gonna
Right.
react much better and have a better cost per lead than someone else that's doing like a generic ad, right? So
Mhm.
you basically get what you put in. So I love that you're not afraid to ask the questions and show up and do the work. And I think that's a trait that like all the A players who have good success have. And I'm proud of you that you are kind
Appreciate
of
that,
doing the
bro.
ads and you're getting it, and you're getting stuff like on your own and the creative juice like going. And the fact that you getting the deals makes me really happy. But I guess like if you could describe our program in like one sentence, how would you describe it?
I would say the program is kind of like the ultimate starter course on like taking ownership of your ads, right? Because a lot of people come in and they probably work through the agency or they've paid PPL or whatever, but they don't really have the knowledge or wherewithal of like what it actually takes to run those ads. So I would think your guys is like the ultimate intro/slash crash course into taking ownership of your marketing essentially. And like after a couple months in the program, I feel like I'm definitely way more confident than I was before. And I don't think I will ever have to pay an agency again. Like I wouldn't want to pay an agency to run my ads because I know how to run them now. Like
Yeah.
even the base level knowledge I have, I'm like, I know how I can get my cost per lead in a certain market down below where I need it to be. I don't need to pay someone 10 grand to manage my ads.
Exactly. And I think like one thing for me is like I've made every mistake and I've been that route where like hiring
Right.
agencies and all that. So that's what even sparked everything in the first place, like learning how to do it on my own. And it was like, okay, well, I want to help other people kind of do
Hmm.
the same, because once I figured it out, like my business just like changed.
Right.
So I just want to help as many people do it the smart way, not make the same mistakes that I made, and actually
Hmm.
take ownership. Because if you think about it, wholesaling is marketing and sales, and
Exactly. Yep.
with the sales, we never give that to someone else. We never offload that or delegate to someone else. Yeah, we have people in our team, but we never do it to like an agency and stuff. So
Right.
why should we do the same thing with marketing if it's one of the main
Hmm.
levers in our business, right? So,
Hmm.
that's huge. I'm not afraid to like invest money. So I just paid like, I don't know, like 20 grand for
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the
You
new
told
like Hermosi
me.
stuff. So I love like being in the game, and I also have my own wholesale business, right? So I
Right.
know exactly the pain points and the things that we need to solve. And basically, I'm at the front of the ship as well, trying to
Yeah.
get better with my business and doing it the same with you guys. So that's something huge for me with, with these other people. Like they may just run an agency, but they don't have the wholesale business to
Hmm.
understand more of like the pain points. So that's something that I really try to shine on. Um, but I guess all in all, like, would you recommend our program
Absolutely,
to
bro.
someone else?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend your program, bro, because again, like you said it, right? Like you actually have a wholesale business that's really fucking successful, So everything that you're teaching, you're actually doing yourself. And then the biggest thing that I feel like the kind of lens and perspective that you provide is like, yeah, you know how to get the leads and stuff, but then also like, okay, let's look into the sales process. Like, is there a gap between what's wrong with your sales process, or is it more so that the ads just aren't producing what they're supposed to, right? So like, I think that's another thing is like everybody that comes in the group is like a very high performer already. So it's like there's nobody there that's like not already producing. It's like, okay, how can we fine tune what we already have? So overall, bro, I would definitely recommend the program. Like now looking back, bro, it's been almost 3 months for me at this point. I think we're gonna round out on 3 months coming up in like a week or so. I mean, I would never pay an agency a monthly retainer fee to like manage my ads anymore because that's like 2 to 3 grand that you could just spend on on marketing yourself. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? So like, it just doesn't make sense at this point to me, and I credit that to you and the team for sure.
Yeah, because a lot of the times people always blame the marketing, but
Hmm.
it's a lot of the sales. So I know you're a great sales guy. You're not afraid to jump on the phone. Like, you're still in it and trying to make shit happen.
Right.
And I love that. And I feel before people blame sales, of course, sales is super important. You have to nail your sales process. And of course, like we kind of teach you that and you already know how to do it.
Hmm.
But a lot of the times also like the marketing has a huge role. But if we
Right.
nail sales and then we nail the marketing, that's when you become very dangerous.
Right.
So like what would you say to like someone who like let's say watches this and they're like 2 to 3 deals a month? Do you think that they could come in here and have the same success as you have?
I
Like the
think
way that
so,
we break it
bro.
down?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Because with me, I came in the mindset because I tried different agencies before. So I already knew like before you go into something, you want to make sure you have at least 3 months of runway minimum to see results. So I already knew that. But then obviously, like to pay in for the coaching and stuff, I was willing to take that investment just because I was like, hey, I've already kind of got burned by 2 different agencies. I've spent a crap ton of money on that, not just like marketing spend, but then also like management fees and all of that. Like I really didn't have anything else to lose, and I didn't want to like go back into the cycle of relying on someone else to run my inbound. So I would say if you're around 2 to 3 deals a month and you got about 3 months of marketing spend set aside, I think you should definitely do it, especially if you're trying to explore into going in inbound, because I've looked around and there's not really any other programs that's actually teaching you how to run your own marketing specifically for wholesaling and getting off market properties, right? Like I'm sure there's a whole bunch of coaches that teach you how to do like PPC or Facebook ads and stuff, but like you're like the only person that I've seen that's like again has his own wholesaling business that this program is tailored to that specifically. You know what I'm saying? So I would
Yeah.
definitely recommend it for sure.
For sure. And like we try to, okay, you come in kind of with the marketing, but in the community and everyone that we're like
Hmm.
helping, like everyone is doing deals on their own. So there's
Right.
always things that we can share with one another about what's working. Like let's say you start doing like a national campaign in another market and someone else is there. It's very easy to tap into that and
Hmm.
get a deal going. Maybe JV finding buyers.
Exactly.
Maybe like locking up a deal with a seller that's not tech savvy, like what happened to you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
KT, I hit him up, and so it's crazy.
yes. So I think that's huge. Also, just like having that community. But yeah, I think like one of the biggest things that I see with like other wholesalers is like they never get the mindset shift from like hustler to being a business owner. That's one of the
Right,
biggest things that I see why people don't scale. And what I mean by being a business owner is like, okay, this is all about like sales and marketing and KPIs, right? Like
right.
once you know how to reverse engineer your goals and what's a marketing spend you need to have in order to achieve that, and your cost per lead, cost per appointment, offers to
Hmm.
contract, what you can give to the team or what you need to put in terms of like input, and align it with the marketing spend, right? So I think that
Hmm.
the quicker and sooner that they realize that, the sooner that they're going to grow. And I think
Absolutely.
it's not so much like a knowledge gap, but it's before that, it's like a mindset shift
Hmm.
that you need to have, and realize that. I mean, we're all the same people, right? We all put
Right,
our pants the same way, and we're not special, snowflakes. We just come in here and we show up and we do the work,
right.
and we are not afraid of like failing and learning. But I think like
Hmm.
one of the biggest things why people don't succeed. What do you think is the reason why
I think
people
so
don't succeed
too.
in
I think,
wholesale?
I mean, even myself, like that mindset shift is huge, right? Like being in we're in a couple of different communities together, right? Seeing how everybody's killing it. There's been times like, I've even looked at myself, like had kind of like imposter syndrome a little bit, right? But it's like I still continue to come in and show up every day. And like as, the last like month and a half has gone by, I've really been like, okay, like I'm like there's stuff that's clicking, and now I'm like, oh, okay, it's literally just the difference between these people and what everybody else is just consistency, like, and like I've realized the more consistent I am and I show up for myself and my team, the more better outcomes that I'm seeing. So I think the biggest thing is, again, like having that mindset shift that like nobody's different, right? Everybody can succeed the same way, and the only thing that's really differentiating is obviously having a system in place, but then having consistency. A lot of people, especially when you're like in that hustler mindset, you might get a deal or two and be like, oh shit, I'm chilling now, right? But then you don't realize in wholesale and real estate in general, like we're looking at a minimum of 30 days before, we hit like a 30 days like lead cycle or deal cycle, right? So like the stuff that we do today, we're not actually going to realize if it was good or bad until a minimum a month goes by, right? So if you're just like bullshit, and excuse my language, for a couple weeks, and you're not hitting your KPIs, you're not showing up for your team, you're not consistent with your marketing spend, you're not going to realize that until 30 days, a month and a half go by, and you're like, what the hell is going on, right? So it's being able to have those systems in place to track that stuff and make those adjustments in real time versus being, reactive and waiting till till you start seeing stuff come in and then making those changes.
Yeah. And I think also like to expand on that, I see a lot of people who see like they favorite like real estate influencer and think that they're like different or they know something that they
Right.
don't. But the blueprint, it's already been like written, right? So when you pay for
Hmm.
coaching, you basically cut the learning curve in half and you get
Hmm.
access to the system processes of like how everything just works, right? Because at the end, like I
Right.
said, it's just like all about numbers. Um, but then also, one of the things that some of the things that I've heard is like, okay, if you're not scaling, the moment you're the main goal as the founder and business owner is find out what's the bottleneck, and
Right.
once you don't know how to do something, that's when success stops. So your
Hmm.
whole focus should be on solving what the bottleneck is at that time and putting all the resources in order to achieve that,
Hmm.
to solve that. Because you're only going to keep on progressing the quicker that you solve that issue. And if you don't know how to do something, you need to think, okay, what is it that I need to do in order to do that?
Right.
Because like sometimes people will talk to me that they want to get into this, and I hear their goals and stuff, and I'm like, okay, what are you doing? what are you going to do in order to do this and achieve this?
Right.
And for me, like when someone wants to work with me and get coached by us,
Right. Right.
is like one, I'm peculiar about like who I let in. I need to know like they're gonna put in the work, because just because you have money doesn't mean like, uh, if
Right.
I don't buy
Yeah.
it, I'll be like, yeah, I just don't think like would be a good fit, right?
Right.
But once you figure that out, the quicker that we do that, the quicker that we're able to do that, right?
Hmm.
Because if you don't have that, I mean, you got to be willing to just put in the work and have that mentality, because like all these people, they'll be like, oh, I want to wait until X, Y, and Z. And I'm like,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
do you think the reason you can't do it, is it like a problem, or is it like a symptom? A lot of the
Right.
times
Right.
is the problem, right? Okay, why is
Right.
it that you don't have enough funds right now? See, because you don't have a marketing system, because you don't have a good sales process, because you don't know about cash management and like
Hmm.
budgeting. I mean, what's the difference between the people that are making the money right now and the people that are not making it right now? I mean, where you're at right now.
Right.
What do you think the person who's doing the 6, 7, 8, 9 deals a month, what do you think he would do right now in this situation? Keep on prolonging
Right.
it, or take the action to change it? So that's
Right.
kind of like the things that I see. And, people just need to be committed. But I guess
Absolutely.
if you could just like leave us with anything, um, anything that you are working on, kind of like things that you're looking forward to, that
Absolutely.
you can tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, I would just leave it with, one is going to be a couple parts. One, if you're on the fence, and you're ready to kind of make that jump, if you're ready to, take ownership of your inbound marketing and really learn how to take and build that skill yourself, this is definitely the right program for that. Fidel and the team are awesome in doing so and teaching you and giving you the feedback to do that. And the second thing is, I'm just really looking forward to continue to scale. As we start getting good contracts, as we start getting more deals closed, I'm just going to keep reinvesting those funds into marketing and ultimately, right, try to scale this just as good as what my cold call operation is. And then ultimately, man, if I could, start phasing out outbound altogether, that's always the goal, right? Is, cut all that follow up time down and just, reinvest our time and energy into the leads that are ready to sell that reached out to us. So I would say that's kind of what my goal is with this, man. And trying to just, get after it every day like you, brother, finish the year out strong and continue to scale the team for sure.
Hell yeah, bro. Well, Rap, thank you so much for your time, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks for dropping some knowledge here. And, I really have enjoyed it, watching you grow and take ownership of all these things. So I'm super proud of you. And I know you're going to keep on crushing. But with that being said, we'll catch you on the next one, guys. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, Fidel. Appreciate you.